story liberation just have vastly different understandings of what liberation is for.
I haven't seen this much importance and attention.
The story itself is a really wonderful, really great setup.
Tractor beam has been engaged.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews on the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. Today is Wednesday, January 31st, 2024. It's the fifth week of comics in 2024. I'm Matthew, coming to you, as always, from Underworld North Studio here in Toronto. Let's say you're coming from Underworld, New Jersey. Let's call it that.
I was going to literally
Jersey.
say, I got to come up with a nice name for that Underworld East Coast.
Underworld
I don't know.
Sixth borough. You're not in Hoboken.
Nope.
Further west of that. You're further west of Hoboken. There we go. How's it going, Chris? How are you doing this week?
I'm doing well. It's been a couple good weeks of Star Wars, whether it be new announcements of live action, animation, amazing endings to comic books. We're really getting fed as Star Wars fans these last couple of weeks. So I'm doing good.
That's true. Some another great story that has come to an end, sadly. So I remember last week I was preparing the notes and says, "What's releasing next week?" And my heart sank. Dr. Aphra number 40. I'm not ready to say goodbye, but I read it, and so we'll get into that. Of course, this week this is all about Chelli. I got the T-shirt. Got the comics behind me.
I wasn't gonna wear mine because I knew for a fact you were gonna wear that, and it'd be weird if we.
That would be funny. It would have been great. Next time we got to figure that out. Next time we got to when Volume 3, number 1 hits the shelves.
Wardrobe collaboration coordination.
we got that's something we got to figure out. First off, let's get plugs out of the way. You can follow us Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Ion Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD. You can check out the Ion Cannon Podcast Mondays right here on the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network YouTube channel. Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. We'll share more about that at the end. Chris, where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me on my blog, which is starraptor.substack.com. I'll be doing a review for something coming very, very soon. And I'm also on YouTube. My primary source of content creation is on YouTube, youtube.com/starraptor. I have my bite-sized reviews of said comics every week that we discuss here. And then I also have my Twitter, which is literally just my name, Star Raptor. You can look that up at Star Raptor. Some gaming content, some screenshots and stuff I'll share, different games I'm playing, as well as talk about Star Wars, put my 2 cents in every once in a while. So
there we go. You gotta do a little more than every once in a while. You got it multiple times a week. You got stuff going on. All right, let's dive into it. Dr. Aphra number 40 for the last time, written by Alyssa Wong, with art by Minkyu Jung, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, and cover by Betsy Cola. The tag fleet burns, the galaxy reels. Dr. Aphra is alone. But as she explores the ancient ruin on a desolate planet, Aphra may find the answers she's been hunting for her entire life. Is this the end for Dr. Aphra? And again, to recap my reaction to the end of issue number 39, when she holdos herself into a planet.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a weird planet. She prefaces, this is a strange circumstances, strange features to this planet, possibly given, and that tracked with everything she was on about through this entire run, especially. We'll get to looking back on the run itself. But turns out she just yeeted herself in an escape pod before the ship crashed, and didn't end up telling Domina. Told Sana. Magna catches wind of it. Most of this issue is a calm call to Sana. Is Aphra reflecting on her journey and on just the meaning of her life and the hope, her sense of the future, and how first off, to say there's a lot that this shares in common with Sarah Kuhn's audio play that also features Aphra recording that when she's recording a thing for Santa, very introspective. This one, she's talking to her on the comm. She's chatting with her, and she's reflecting on how she was the disaster. She was the trope, the disaster trope. She was the both the disaster lesbian trope, but also the kind of the disaster smuggler, bounty hunter, not quite bounty hunter, but trying to get artifacts to sell them, make a quick buck, make a quick
Scoundrel,
credit,
I guess.
scoundrel. And she comes to this moment and says, when did that no longer be enough? What point did that? And it's one of those beautiful things that's so satisfying again, because Alyssa Wong has done such a great job, especially. And Kieran Gillen and Sal Spurrier and them have all done a great job of building up to this moment of she is more than just what she sees her life as more than just what she can make a quick buck for, make a quick credit, find find uh find an artifact, steal it, sell it to the highest bidder, whatever. She says it isn't worth it. She says to Santa, it isn't worth it if it can't be with you, Santa. And that that was this really beautiful, touching moment of, yeah, recognizing her life can exist beyond herself. Her life can exist not just uh, for the past, not just beyond. It can exist beyond the present moment. Really, again, another wonderful insight of where she's come, and a summary of where she's come to say, yeah, she still can't quite go with Skywalker and Luke being all, we all, the Force will lead us to a new dawn, a new day. There's always hope for the future, and all that, which is meaningful to Luke, but to Chelli, it's still a bit of a platitude. But again, the relationships that she's been involved in, the people who have sacrificed for her, saying now she's willing to sacrifice for them in order, not necessarily give her life, but build a future. I mean, maybe, but if it comes to it, right? She was willing to take this huge risk to chuck all the scourge droids into this planet. That was a huge risk, and she's able to do it. Yeah, for the sake of getting rid of the scourge, but also for really for Santa, and I think for Magna as well, and probably for what Domina can give her in terms of a job and a financial reward and whatnot. So again, building up everything that this build up in this very narrated, reflective. It's in the narration boxes, but it's very satisfying because it's where she's come to. I think it was a little bit the step too far for her to start sitting up for the Rebel Alliance and start going on missions for them. I was like, okay, is this where she's going? Not quite yet, but who is she ending up with here in the trio with Senators and with Olga? Both of them. Magna is a rebel officer. She is part of the alliance. She is under Leia's command. Sana, yeah, she's around. She's there, working with the rebels. Either way, so Aphra's a step closer, but she's still kind of, I mean, she finds this Jedi book, this Jedi text, and what's she gonna do with it? Is she gonna sell it? Is she gonna give it to Luke to actually learn from? Is it gonna be one of the books that ends up going with Rey at the end? So these things seeded in, we don't know. We'll get later on to get to what can come next. But the last thing I'll say is, yes, she will return. She survives. She will return. The comic ends with the three of them together going off in the sunset. And then the panel, Dr. Aphra will return. So that was the end of volume 2. Volume 3 has got to be coming, or some iteration of her having some story where she has a major part to play. So that's my take on issue number 40. Chris, what were your thoughts on this final issue?
Yeah, I'll say I liked the issue, but it wasn't perfect. It had its issues, and I think starting out with the clumsy beginning, I hate to say it, but the beginning was very clumsy for me. I didn't know what the heck was going on, honestly. I was like, okay, so she's ripping off this control panel. She's got a disc in her hand, but it's disconnected, and Sana has a disc. She brings it to this random planet that she goes to, which she had mentioned in a previous issue.
Yeah.
We don't really find out what the significance of the planet even really was. And then the whole thing with the Jedi text was kind of out of left field. Like that just popped out of nowhere. Like if you knew about this planet, why didn't you just go here before? If you already knew that there was a significance, why wouldn't you have gotten this, unlimited? This thing would have been worth like millions, maybe billions of credits. Like, huh? Like, how are you stumbling upon this now if you already knew this planet had significance? So I was a little bit like, oh, is this seems like it's like a little bit too much of a happy ending in regard of like, oh, everything's just working out of the blue.
Interesting.
I think setting up this villain to just immediately end the series was really weird choice to me. Like, well, we don't even have a confirmation of anything happening yet.
Yeah, the bounty hunter and the Imperial officer. Yeah,
that was just really random. It's one thing if it was a known character that we knew of, like, oh, maybe like Vader knew about her or something, and oh, cool, like Vader's, we already know that the guy's part of her big story overall. But to have a brand new character just like thrown in the mix at the end, it just was like, huh, what is this? What is the purpose of these 2 pages here? I don't know if that really the story really warranted that. But I mean, the swings it takes, the good things are really good things. Like the idea of her coming around full circle is great. That's been the seeds have been laid as of last issue of her like doing the heroic sacrifice, but of course surviving. We kind of all knew that was going to happen. There was going to be some way she was going to find her way out of that. She's survived being frozen in the vacuum of space by Black Chrysanthemum rescuing her at the last minute. So she could get out of this, but. Overall, it was a nice, happy ending. Them walking into the sunrise, sunset, whatever. The 3 of them, and her just realizing. I liked how she was comparing her life with Luke Skywalker, and about how he left that kind of impression on her in the first place is pretty cool. Like how she thinks about Luke Skywalker as much as she does, is a pretty neat idea. The idea that he looks into the future so much, and her jaded self was just, I'm just looking to get by. There's no purpose of looking into the future. I have everything I need now. But like you said, but when did this not become enough? I found this Jedi text. It's worth, all this incredible amounts of money. I could buy whatever I want. But in the end, just having loneliness with all this money is not going to cut it. I realized that after all this time, that I should have somebody to share it with, and there's something bigger out there for me. So I like that, by the end of these 40 issues, we did see a character trajectory that ended up going somewhere to change the character. And I don't think it really ended up being any, like the first arc, the first run, I should say. I don't know if there was any kind of paradigm shift of this magnitude with the character. I think it was mainly just a lot of fun stories. But I feel like with this run, at least, I think they really pushed the character in a new direction.
I'll first address the thing about setting up new things going forward. I think the fact that we know that this is the last issue, that we don't have any kind of announcement of what's coming next, that might have, I could see that leaving people and being all, what's why are we giving this story now? Why are we getting this tease now when we don't know, right? And we know it very likely won't be Alyssa Wong writing this. It might be somebody else. I wonder if they're I don't know. I'd like to ask them, but if they're too busy with Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, and with High Republic and other things going on. Or maybe they will. Maybe they will pick this up. I mean, that would be really cool. And we'll get to more speculation at the end. It'll be really cool to see Alyssa Wong write a Luke Skywalker story. That'll be fun. But yeah, I can see it being kind of random, being thrown in. Given the fact that this is the last issue. That on your point though about the impact that Luke has on her, I hadn't really thought of that too much, but. Yeah, there is, because I mean the point of this issue is the impact that Sana and Magna especially have had on her. That Luke, she's had some run-ins with Luke and some things, and that line, "Don't tell Skywalker."
Yeah,
Talk about this. Both in that, oh, he's gonna disagree with this, but also don't tell Skywalker I was trying to think about this. That she cares enough about what this guy thinks, this Jedi farm boy thinks, which is weird because she's so far removed from everything he's into and up on
Yeah.
about, and yet
Yeah.
he's the one she mentions
I
as
know.
possibility. And again, I mean, that's the thing with this Jedi temple. So I wonder if she did know about this planet. I wonder if she intentionally set these coordinates and set the, well, she did. We know she did. We know she intentionally set the coordinates for that, for the ship, for the, I mean, it's the tag fleet, that tag ship to crash into the planet and get destroyed. So she'd land there. I think she was intentionally trying to go find this temple and go find this book. But that maybe that could have been spelled out more. Yeah, it is a little hard at the beginning without any kind of dialogue. Similar to Peach Momoko's comic book that was entirely free of dialogue. Take some interpretation, take some deciphering a little bit. It can be tricky, but
I'm guessing it was like, yeah. I mean, what was your interpretation of it then? I'm curious because for me, I had to read it twice, and I assume like she is sending this message, but then that's the coordinates that she sent over or something.
Yeah, I mean,
know.
somehow, I mean, it was pretty easy for her to find that temple. It seems, or pretty quick, at least in the story, in the pages, and pretty quick for Santa to come. I mean, she grabs Magda and say, come, buckle up, we're going for a ride here, and there she is showing up.
Yeah,
so.
I have a bone to pick again with another Star Wars cover depicting things that don't happen.
Yeah,
in the darn comic. I mean, you got Kofan Ferris here, a big character, and we just kind of left her out to dry here.
Yeah,
so
left them out to dry,
or left them out to dry.
Yeah.
So that's kind of annoying. But what are you gonna do?
I mean, again,
that same thing with Vader. I don't think Vader's in here at all. But what are you gonna do?
And we have Spark Eternal Aphra. I mean, it's a direct edition, and I'm gonna we have 000 BT. It's a direct edition, but it's a bit like a variant in that it's more just an evocation of the whole run.
Yeah, true.
Of Aphra's whole story. But yeah, I mean, ideally you do want covers to have pertain to the story itself, but I didn't mind it. I liked how it lines up with issue number 1. Alyssa's own Twitter. They
I don't even remember what number 1 looks like.
Also go to Alyssa's Twitter. At Crash One.
Check it out.
And yeah, they posted the two covers side by side, and they're meant to work. The Betsy Cola. I don't think Betsy Cola is the first issue number 1, but definitely this one. Definitely fact. Yeah.
Fun fact. We got to congratulate her. We got to congratulate them, Alyssa Wong, with the release of Escape from Valo today, alongside of Daniel Jose Older.
Yes, happy birthday!
it's pretty cool because Alyssa has put in the whole backstory for the species right here.
Oh, nice.
Ferris's backstory.
That's sweet.
Of where their people come from. Nice. And their abilities, and it's really cool because there's two characters, brother and sister. Maybe they aren't. That belong to this planet. So it's pretty neat because we get it's neat for her to create the lore that spawned out of the Dr. Aphra comics now, spreading to the High Republic era, and all this good stuff. So
I mean, there's another thing that a lot of Star Wars authors do, right? Is say, hey, I've established this thing in this part of the canon. I mean, Charles Soule with Momin and with Kira Kinfula coming back. Speaking of comics, there's gonna be a comic sometime, somewhen in phase 3. So anyway, that's those are my thoughts. Do you have any more thoughts on issue number 40 specifically?
No, I think there's a lot of good stuff to talk about the future, about the past. But yeah, like I said, off the top, this issue was serviceable for the ending. They had really big leaps. I just wish maybe that the interior stuff could have been cleaned up a little bit more. The Jedi stuff, I feel like they threw the Jedi stuff in there specifically with the Jedi text because this is a Dr. Aphra book. Her big thing is she's the Indiana Jones of the Star Wars galaxy. Let's get one big send off with her in this final issue of doing what she does best and getting some kind of ancient relic.
Yeah.
So there you go. You got the ancient relic.
Good point.
You got the relationships between the interpersonal relationships, which are always being hit home hard, the diversity of the characterizations of these characters and all that. So the touch points were all there from Alyssa putting them in there. So a good reminder of what this character stands for, why she's so popular, all the good stuff put into one issue. So for that, I will say that was well done.
Yeah, I loved the whole issue. It was great. I get the concerns, but yeah, I'm here for it. That's a great segue into looking back on this whole run, issue 1 to 40, and why I call it definitive. And I call that definitive for 2 reasons. And I use that phrase. We want to be careful with superlatives, right? Saying definitive or excelling or whatever, the things that are just the most important, the best, whatnot. This is definitive for 2 reasons. Even starting all the way back in the first arc with the Rings of Veil, into everything with the Ascendant and the Spark Eternal, and those horns that create the thought weapon. I forgot what it's called.
Oh yeah, the thought dowser or whatever.
The thought dowser, and then especially the Spark Eternal.
Yeah,
and the role that has with in Dark Droids. This was really a return to what Aphra is at her best, right? Like you said, with the Kieran Gillen run, it was good. It was fun. Sal Spurrier. There's a lot of of kind of scoundrel fun adventures, but it wasn't weird enough for me. I wanted the Force Spore. I wanted the more like the Rings of Veil, like this weird, or exploring these weird mystical things. Like the Ordo Aspectu, right? Remember those guys?
We need more.
And this is back. I think this is also Kieran Gillen. This is Kieran Gillen's Darth Vader run, with her father. So this was really a return to that in a lot of ways. Just she's digging in, she's exploring that, and that's partly her way into the world beyond herself. There's more than just the present, more than just what's here. Her interaction, you mentioned Kofan Ferris and the University of Barleth. Ko is and Sava Madeline are these force experts. Experts in, I guess, was it Madeline's son who's also an expert in? I know she's an expert in the dark side, but she becomes an expert in and I know she's more in. Oh, it's a different Sava. It's a different Sava. Sorry, I'm confusing my Savas. The one that the Kofan Ferris studied under, and Chelli and Sana.
Oh yeah.
At Barleth, an expert in the Ascendant, and taking Aphra on that journey into the into the history of the Ascendant and all that. So that was a recovery of that. But then, like, as we said, right? I mean, leading up to, she almost gets killed by the what's it called? The Sith, the Fermata cage. She almost gets killed by that. And and Sana and Magna and her father, all there saving her skin, saving her life, coming around her, even though she doesn't have a sense that she deserves it. And I think, to answer her question, that's the moment, right? That's the moment where it no longer was enough that that it was no longer was enough that there are people who are willing to risk their lives for me, even though I don't feel like I deserve it. And okay, do they deserve it? Maybe they do. Maybe the relationships, the bonds we have, deserve it. So,
and that's
so it's interesting. One thought I had, even including number 40, this brings her not quite to the Rebel Alliance, brings her closer to, I think, where maybe Tonga is throughout Bounty Hunters, in that she's definitely still part of the underworld. She's definitely still doing the scoundrel thing on the other side of, she's not, the Rebel Alliance, but the Rebel Alliance has its orders and structure, and they become the New Republic. Aphra and Tonga, Tonga and then Aphra at this point, and we'll talk about Tonga next week for sure. Spoiler out there. Are now still part of the Underworld, but deeply invested in the relationships and their loved ones. And Tonga is more of a mother. Aphra can be more of a sister and a lover. I mean, Tonga also has a partner, but that kind of character. I mean, Han kind of fulfilled that a little bit, but we mostly see him as part of the Alliance. So but again, to see, like we were mentioning, to see that development all the way, I mean, through War of the Bounty Hunters and that amazing crossover moment with Boba Fett, right? Of course, Crimson Reign and her role in Hidden Empire, and she has more of a role in Hidden Empire because the Fermata Cage and the role of the Scourge,
huge, yeah.
But again, that is Crimson Hidden Empire, right, where she has that moment. We were all, is this really a crossover? What's happening? It's on the Amexine station. She has that moment with her loved ones, and so the Aphra that we know and love, this issue, the Aphra that we knew she could become, this run is what gave it to us. Alyssa Wong brought this character to the greatness that she become. She was already a fantastic character. She's now one. I'm also another superlative. Talk about Water Row and whatnot.
Here we go.
One of the all-time greats.
You said it. Wow.
Now, at this point, I think, and it remains to be seen again what's more. So that's again my take on this whole run. Looking back, these issues, and you mentioned comparing it to the Gillen run, Spurrier run, the Gillen Spurrier run. What's your overall thoughts on especially Alyssa Wong's Dr. Aphra?
Well, I will say that it's great to have this series feel so different for Star Wars, because a lot of it is the whiz bang fun of laser bolts, like going off and lightsabers and whatnot. Yeah, it's just everything just crap hitting the fan and all that stuff. And you don't get. There's nothing else in Star Wars that deals with relationships like this. There's nothing in the movies, nothing in the TV series. I mean, first of all, it's created by a non-binary person, so that's a first and foremost there. She's dealing with lesbians and all of that stuff, which one day will come to the screen more prevalent. But for now, this is the course that this is hitting for Star Wars. It starts from the comics, and the novels have done it, but they are they are leading trailblazing from a certain point of view for this kind of content, for people out there that feel heard reading these stories, people there that can exactly feel represented, like, hey, these characters are like me, this is how I feel too, so that's really important from a reader perspective, for Star Wars to go in that direction, and for Alyssa to lead the charge, to be those people, to see those people, right? So I really like that. I really like just the personal relationships just in general of this comic book, this run, these 40 issues of the complexities of characters and how nothing is black and white. Yes, Aphra is on her own, but then by the end of this becomes a hero, and it's through trials and tribulation, and nothing is ever easy. And it's great because I'm always on the edge of my seat, because I don't know what she's going to do half the time. She's very spontaneous.
Neither is she.
And it's just very, very entertaining from the aspect of, you look at this cast of characters, just like we were saying with Bounty Hunters. You don't know the fates of any of these characters. Any of them could die. And I thought Aphra was dead at one point when the Spark Eternal got her, because it just implanted to her system, like, yeah, how do you get out of that? It's just crazy stuff happening. And of course, as we said, just the weird spiritual stuff that is spiritual is not the word, supernatural, the weird supernatural stuff that is happening is just unlike anything in Star Wars. And Alyssa Wong did the homework and added some really cool things to the Star Wars canon, and I can't wait to see explored again. I can't wait to hear about the Ascendant in something like the Acolyte or something like that, where they're delving into the mysteries of the Force and this whole war the Sith had with these people and
Mhm.
exterminating an entire organization, genocide, basically just killing them all. There's so much rich history that we have gotten explored in this comic series, which is just so much fun. But yeah, the biggest thing for me is just the interpersonal relationships of these different people of identities is really cool.
Yeah, and really making it normalized for us.
Yeah.
I mean, even for me, I'm a straight white dude reading this comic. Okay, the more I see two women in love with each other, two women kissing, and not in a voyeuristic way, but in a okay, this is simply part of the world way, the better. The more we all get used to this, crafting a world beyond prejudices and beyond homophobia is in the power of story and the power of Star Wars. I'd like to think High Republic has really taken the ball and ran with it, and of course, Alyssa's in High Republic, as I mentioned. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that this is just part of it. You're right. I mean, the Acolyte maybe is time to really put this on screen. That kiss at the end of Rise of Skywalker doesn't count. I'm sorry. At least I don't think it counts. I don't know.
It doesn't
Anyone
really
can-
count because we didn't really have any connection
Yeah.
to those characters whatsoever. If they were main characters, then sure, but come on here.
So there's that. The moment with the Spark Eternal, and it was a bit more than a moment. It was a few issues, right? That was also a really important point in that she really witnesses a tragedy there. She really witnesses, like you said, the Sith taking down this group. And yeah, they're kind of emulating the dark side, whatever, with magnets, coolest magnets ever. But seriously, they were trying to do what they could. And if you ever want to evoke pathos in Star Wars, use a Chadra fan. Those guys are adorable. So, yeah, again, another moment of, and I think that was also kind of around Hidden Empire, right? Because the point of getting her in the Dramatic Age was to break her free of the Spark Eternal. I think she ends up kind of taking the charge herself with that. But that culmination there of, okay, I've actually witnessed this tragedy well in the past. Another moment of, there's a galaxy beyond myself that is worth working for and fighting for. Not quite in the same language that Luke would use, but again, one step at a time. So, yeah, like you said, the relationships are definitely the deepest point of this. Do you have any more thoughts, take on this run?
No, I mean I have thoughts on what could happen in the future though.
Okay, well, then that's a good segue. Let's do that again, because the issue, it sets up this Jedi temple. She stumbles upon an ancient Jedi text, name drop Skywalker. I'm kind of prejudicing what I'm thinking here, but also this Raslin was this, what are they called again? What's he called? This
The planet.
ISB officer Melchior
Oh,
Otto.
okay.
And then Rosalind Grace's bounty hunter, which I think we saw something about that in the
Revelations
the
1.
Revelations comic. So yeah, definitely stuff on the way to go. And again, Dr. Aphra will return. Is that volume 3? Is that something else? We don't know. What do you think? What might be next for Chelli, Lona, Aphra?
Well, first of all, I think it's worth noting because with Bounty Hunters issue number 42, it said in the back like, oh, maybe they'll return. Like it wasn't a confirmation, but I feel like Dr. Aphra had more of a confirmation because that splash page there didn't exist in Bounty Hunters. I'm pretty sure they didn't dedicate a whole page saying she'll return. They said it at the top of one of the pages. It wasn't big like that. But I mean, the first thoughts would be like, okay, volume 3, I guess. I don't know. I'm thinking more or less right now, like she might float into Darth Vader in the Star Wars mainline for now, like in towards the end of that arc somehow, maybe. because it's not quite clear. Like, okay, well, how did she survive in the post Return of the Jedi era?
Mhm.
So I think that Leia might call on, Magna Tolvin, and now that we have Sana and we have Aphra, they're going to want to tag up because they're all together doing whatever crime they want to do to make money.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, let's all right, we're gonna do this rebel mission. All right. So and then we'll figure that out. I don't know. That's my first thing is like, since we're still so far off from Return of the Jedi, and it seems like they might want to show us more of what her adventures are like in the future. All right, maybe we'll get some of that organic storytelling with her floating into some of the other comics. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm starting to wonder, just in terms of kind of her sense of political view, having a political views at all. Uh, as her trajectory towards a more heroic character evolves, uh, how is she in the New Republic? What does she think of the New Republic?
Oh, okay.
And obviously after Endor, and like the year between Endor and Jakku, even after Jakku, does she think like Din Djarin? Does she think it's a joke? Does she think it's good but not my thing? Or does she actually kind of want to be involved and be kind of going beyond what what she what kind of um what was she was doing before? Actually, what I was hoping what she'd do with the rebellion is run missions and whatnot. I don't know. For now, yeah, this is great. Just the stop of the drink with Asha, Tonga, and Cordelia. Have all 6 of them together, form a new
that'd be
crew,
awesome.
form a new
Yep.
crew. Finding out, and shout out to the Splash Base guys. You guys keep doing the forces work. Forming this new whole sort of good guy search for artifacts and whatnot, which again makes me wonder, okay, how does what Luke is doing connect with this?
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
I think there is something there. There's no accident. There's she stumbles on a Jedi temple and she has a text. We know that's exactly the kind of thing Luke is trying to look for, because he needs to learn how to be a Jedi himself. He needs to learn what Jedi history was in order to develop this new order, whatever it is he's doing. I kind of want to see, I mean, great for Tongalashi Cordelia to come in. I want to see Luke, Lando, Chelli, come on, maybe a bit of Beaumontkin, maybe a little bit, and Larson Tekka. I know it's a very male heavy group, but I mean, we haven't seen her interact with a male heavy group either, and and gender doesn't necessarily have to be the most important consideration in all this, but it can be and has been, and it's been great that it has been. But yeah, just given in terms of what Luke is up to, and and this will help him loosen up more too. Take him on a and maybe more. I mean, maybe be more serene. We know he's pursuing more of a serene,
that's the thing,
balance at this point. But well, I mean, at this point, before Return of the Jedi, he's wearing black and he's flirting with the dark side. So there's that part of it. Reflecting on, her experience with the Spark Eternal, and her experience with Sana and Tonga, Luke's experience with Vader and Anakin. That could be an interesting kind of. They could really lean on each other too.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see the handoff of that text to Luke in the main line before Return. And we had Charles Soule mentioning about issue number 50 or something.
Yeah.
That's going to be a milestone. I think what we could hit is like a point where there might be a mini series that could like potentially like go right into Return of the Jedi or something like that. Maybe a 4 or 5 issue mini series, and bring back like Tonga, bring back Chelli, Aphra, and all these other characters that they ended in their storylines, but hey, nothing's stopping them from appearing like in another one. So there's enough threads there, but then that leaves the question of, okay, like this random bounty hunter working for the Empire. We've seen this girl she was the one that was telling the stories and revelations about how she was taking down this Nexu or something, and she's so good, but she was kind of like embellishing it because not everything is obviously happening. And here she is, she's sauntering down this Imperial Star Destroyer like singing something. Like
Yeah,
she's just so
you know, like a
nonchalant
lullaby. I met
about
a
it.
girl on a high
So
day with flowers.
yeah, it's really, everything about the Dr. Aphra series screams attitude and flavor. Like nothing's just vanilla. Like everybody is like over the top
Yep.
or just like a little bit out of, out of the normal kind of.
Yeah.
So it fits in at least with that. But yeah, a new bounty hunter character. So I would think that character would have to be in her own story with Aphra eventually. But yeah, a New Republic story. I don't think Aphra would be down with New Republic. She's going to be the first to leave, probably alongside a Han Solo who ends up
Probably.
leaving. Just this isn't us. This is like the Empire 2.0. I'm just trying to get my artifacts, helping Luke.
Yeah, and maybe Luke will be like, "No, but my sister's involved. She's really cool." I don't know. Yeah, I get that point, and also to the point where, yeah, with this Votto and Raslin, that needs to be resolved probably before Return of the Jedi. So there's got to be something. I mean, we don't know what the plan was before the decision was to end the series. Was there, Chris, you were speculating, was there more planned and this was going to be the last arc or something? I'm okay with it ending here as is, given the character growth. If I just hope they don't drop this. I hope, this Votto and Raslin thing and the Jedi text, I hope they do pick it up somewhere. Clearly Alyssa is handing it off to somebody, probably to Charles,
Yeah.
but not necessarily. I mean, could be again volume 3, could be, like you said, a miniseries. What we do know, Charles just today tweeted out he's working on a 50-page comic, which I think is going to be issue number 50. That's my gut, is that's issue number 50, if that's the grand finale to all of this. And that would track too, because remember everything, all these crossover events, just like High Republic, these comics were a team effort too, right? With, and in their kind of goodbye letter today, Alyssa thanked Greg and Charles and the rest, Mark Guggenheim and them, for all the work they did in Ethan Sachs, of course, for the collaboration. There's probably a Slack chat there too, so probably the same kind of conversations about character motivation and character arc. And so Charles probably knows this character well enough to take the ball and finish at least this chapter in Aphra's story. That Alyssa definitely brought a good finish to. And that's another thing. I do think this was well ended, well finished. Again, it's so hard. Next week we'll talk to Ethan about finishing a story. It's so hard to finish a story. This one was a great job. Left some loose threads for Charles to pick up in the main run, and for someone to write something after that.
What is the actual page number of a regular comic? Is it like 22 pages or something?
Yeah, around there.
So that's going to be an over double issue. Yeah. Wow, it's going to be,
and it's kind of thing what we've been hoping for. We've been clamoring for something meatier.
I mean, I've been waiting for an announcement of Charles Soule to write a novel that ties everything up in this era, but I guess I can't have that. That might be too much of something. He's involved with the High Republic. He's not going to write a novel about this.
He's writing Trials of the Jedi. So
That's right.
But yeah, so the closest thing we're going to get probably is this 50 issue, if that's what this is. He didn't specify. Could be something. Could be the end of Undiscovered Country. I don't know. But yeah, it could be at the end of Star Wars, the Star Wars mainline run of comics that we've known. Obviously, that question we keep asking every week is, where is this going? How's this getting to Return of the Jedi? This seems to be, I mean, he did in his email update say issue 50 is going to be something special and something new, and so or something special and something big. So I'm that's now my best guess for something getting to Return of the Jedi right now. We know issue 42, 43, and then 44 to 47 is Lando trial, and so 48 to 50. 40 to 50 could be the Aphra miniseries.
But about Aphra to going back to
Yeah.
another point, speculating on, oh, was this ended earlier than it was intended? The first run was 40 issues as well.
Mhm.
So it's kind of funny how they both ended at 40, almost like it was planned or something. So I feel like maybe they were, maybe they were planning this originally for 40 issues. Just, be nice equilibrium there.
Again, I'm satisfied with the character where the character gets to. So, yeah. I don't know. Do you have any last thoughts on what might be coming up next for Aphra specifically, or?
Yeah, put her in the Mandoverse already. Come on,
Yes.
you could do it. You could do it.
Come on.
You got Black Chrysanthemum. I think we all figured she was going to show up once he did it, and we're still waiting here like 3 years later.
That's another thing about this character. She's the one comic original character that everybody knows about. If you have not read a single Star Wars comic book, but you watch, well, if you're a Star Wars fan, if you're at Celebration,
Yeah,
you're podcasting or whatever, but you don't read the comics, you don't read the books. She's the one paper first character that everyone knows about. It's a matter of time. Yeah. There you go.
matter of time.
Matter of time. Who knows? There's always the issues of what then the paper stories were allowed to tell. Obviously, given Aphra such a paper intensive character, there's more latitude there. But yeah, there's got to be story groups, got to be talking about it, got to be thinking, and it has had to have been talking about it for a while. So yeah, that's a good point.
I remember there was rumblings going around years ago that they had a Dr. Aphra animated series in the works.
Sure, why not? Yeah. All right. I think that's good. I think that does it for the show, for our look back on Aphra, Alyssa, and Minkyu, and everybody knocked out of the park. Just such a gripping story, and finally bring, I think, a satisfying conclusion. So we look forward to talking about Chelli again. I look forward to wearing this t-shirt on the tractor beam again one day. But yeah, for now, let's get into releasing next week. So Mace Windu, number 1.
And Obi-Wan issue number 5.
Yeah, sure. Releasing Mace Windu number 1. That is cool. It is the Vader episode, but I'd rather just watch the Vader episode. Although the pacing of that episode is a little wonky, so maybe a comic might be more gripping. I don't know.
Jabim, that whole thing was weird.
Maybe I'll sit down at a comic book shop and read it one time.
Do we know when Mace Windu is set? Like, is it before Attack of the Clones?
I think it's before Phantom Menace.
Whoa!
Forget Mace Windu comic.
I hope it's not in the Clone Wars. We have enough Clone Wars stories.
When a scientist's discovery, when it's kind of just
it's not
even
clear,
even in the years before the Clone Wars, when a scientist's discovery threatens the balance of the galaxy. Yeah, it isn't clear. I want to say before Clone Wars, definitely before the Clone Wars.
Oh, okay. Good.
But I think before. Well, yeah. He does at the end of Clone Wars.
Yeah, we got an intro to that in Revelations number 1. So I'm very curious about how that's going to work. Same thing with Jango Fett. Like, we already got a piece of the story now. Are people expected to have picked up Revelations 1? Where's Mace Windu 1 going to start? Is this like an interstitial scene that happens somewhere in the middle of the story? Or is it like take place before or after a certain issue? That's going to be my question, is how they're going to tell these stories coming up now that they've given us a preview of sorts.
Yeah, that is a good question. We already got one answer with Aphra. That teases Raslin, right? Or everything, all the story with Raslin. The cover to Mace Windu number 1 is a mission before the rise of the Separatists at all. Rise of the Separatists before the rise of the Separatists and the Clone Wars.
Great.
So that, to me, the rise of the Separatists, that's Phantom Menace. That's the blockade. So I'm thinking, we know it's part of this TPM at 25, it's part of this new push to start exploring that time period between those films. So
good.
Mark Bernardin, February 7th. We will not be talking about it next week because we got something else going on next week. And this is the big kind of make a pretty big push for this. Yeah, next week, Star Wars Podcast Day, celebrating the first Star Wars podcast 25 years ago. Also, we're as teased, we're getting Ethan Sachs on to talk about bounty hunters. I'm gonna ask him about Django, but I'm also gonna ask him about Halcyon Legacy and Black Spire or the Galaxy's Edge comic, and just everything he's done in the Star Wars comic space. But yeah, I'm probably asking him a little bit of his Image stuff too, just for fun. But yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Gonna have do an interview format with him. Chris, we and I have never done an interview before together, so that'll be fun. We'll figure it out. But
it's good because I actually have an acquaintance with Ethan Sachs because I had him on board my my bounty hunters discussion Underworld panel at Star Wars Celebration in Europe, in London, there at the XL Center. So it was him. It was a whole bunch of awesome people on that panel. Adam Christopher, Dom from the Underworld here. We had Kieran from the Underworld, me. We had Matt. It was a great discussion. He came in. He was a good sport. He came in with a literally a Bosk mask.
Nice. Yeah, I think I remember.
He did a portion of it with the Bosk mask on. This is great with the shirt. That was like the Bosk uniform. It was great. You can check the YouTube video on my channel, youtube.com/StarRaptor for that one. So yeah, it's gonna be good catching up with him now that the whole thing is over. All the secrets have been revealed. We can pick his brain about creative process, and at least we've waited long enough for people to have gotten a chance to read it. So spoilers will be abound, as we usually talk about them anyway. So it'll be a good chance to see how it works creating something in collaboration with all these other stories, right? Because we're working in this time zone. So yeah, it's going to be a really great discussion. I'm looking forward to it. Our first interview on this podcast. So it'll be good to get our feet wet, but kind of talk to a creator is a really cool, fun way of interacting. Maybe we'll get some information out there people don't know about.
Never know. We gotta ask. We gotta ask about Django. We gotta ask. If he can't answer anything, that's fair.
It's my favorite character of the prequels, darn it. You better believe I'm going to be asking him some questions about.
You better believe I'm going to be asking. There we go. All right. So yeah, definitely check us out next week, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We're gonna blast that all over the socials. So he put together a really great 42 issue run, comic book author. Joel and I went interviewed Megan Wong a few years ago. Yeah, that was pretty good. She's mostly cover artist, but does internal art too. Or she's mostly done covers for Star Wars. She definitely does internal art as well. But this is the first time interviewing an author. So I mean, artists are storytellers. This is a different level of storytelling, I think. So no shade on artists, but yeah, looking forward to this next week. So please do join us for that. In the meantime, Chris, where can they find you on the internet? What do you got going on in terms of Outer Rim, etc. this week?
Yeah, well, you can catch me on Xbox playing Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. You can team up with me on Xbox. Just look up Star Raptor. That's where you're going to find me most of the week until I get through that. I'm having a good time. Yes. But otherwise, content creation-wise, you can find what I create at youtube.com/StarRaptor. And I'm going to have my comic book review here. I have reviews for Escape from Valor, which just came out today. Again, congrats to Daniel and Alyssa for putting out a really fun book. A really good book. Yesterday, this week. And I have my review for Defy the Storm up there as well, written by Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland, coming out in March. So there's a lot of good stuff for you to check out there, and Twitter to stay up to speed on the current thoughts I have at Star Raptor.
And again, you can follow me my personals on Instagram and Threads at MNUG1138. Of course, at Iron Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Of course, at the SWU and Underworld Facebook and all the other places, all these socials. This coming up on Iron Cannon, the Iron Cannon podcast. I'm taking a break. I got some other things going on, but Joel is getting Red Leader back on. They're extending the tractor beam into the main pod, into Iron Cannon, not the main pod, into Iron Cannon, and they're extending it back in time, all the way back to the 90s. They're talking about a few arcs of Tales of the Jedi, that comic from the 90s. So check that out right here on the Underworld YouTube channel, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And then next week, talking with Ethan Sachs on Wednesday. We will be, as far as I know, 2 weeks from now. It's just a normal Wednesday for me. So I'm gonna be. I mean, it'll be Ash Wednesday. So it's a bit of an abnormal Wednesday. I may still have the mark on my forehead, but talk about Mace Windu and I think some other comics coming out. Darth Vader number 43.
Quick look.
2 weeks too. So it's the advertisement. There we go. Who gets it first? Who gets to it first? There we go. Vader 43 coming out in 2 weeks. So we'll talk about that as well.
Splash page, guys. These guys do the forces work over there.
There we go.
Speed on everything. So we have the 14th Vader and High Republic Adventures Phase 3, number 3.
There we go. That's also coming out too. Okay. Yeah, it's hard to tell with the Dark Horse solicits and all that. But so we'll have 3 books to talk about in 2 weeks. And it's a normal Wednesday for me. So, there we go. But until then, Chris, has been fun. Again, Aphra. So long, farewell, but not forever. Until then, check it. Also, just a plug. Go to your local comic shops. Check out Buy Local. If you prefer digital, go for that. Last plug, join the Discord, Underworld Discord. Tag me in that if you want. I'm in there too. So good to have conversations. But anyways, until then, happy reading.
# Dr. Aphra lives.
Aphra lives. There we go.